educator wants to create an environment that will foster students' love of learning. It is difficult to define or pinpoint exactly what they are because the criteria are intangible. My name is Prince Paul Renara, English language specialist in the School of Information Technology at King Mongkut's University of Technology, Thunburi, Bangkok, Thailand. The latest catchword in educational circle is constructivism, applied to both learning and knowledge, both to how students learn and to the nature of knowledge. Well, as teachers, we don't need to give in to each new fad, but we do need to think about our work in relation to learning and knowledge. So, we need to ask, what is constructivism? What does it have to tell us that is new and relevant? And how do we apply it to our work? As far as I can see, there is nothing dramatically new in constructivism. The core ideas expressed by it have been clearly enunciated by John Dewey, among others. But there is a new widespread acceptance of this old set of ideas, a new research in cognitive psychology to support it. I would like to give a brief exposition of ideas central to constructivism and widely accepted today by educators, curriculum developers, and cognitive psychologists, and then suggest what they mean for all of us, teachers. Ooh, constructivism. The term refers to the idea that learners construct knowledge for themselves. Each learner individually and socially construct meaning as he or she learns. Constructing meaning is learning. There is no other kind. The dramatic consequences of this view are twofold. First, we have to focus on the learner in thinking about learning, not on the subject or lesson to be taught. And second, there is no knowledge independent of the meaning attributed to experience by the learner or community of learners. Okay, here's a scenario. We teachers learn the knowledge about the real world out there. Then we understand that world, organize it in the most rational way possible, and finally present it to our learners. Is that constructivism? Well, it is true that we provide the learners with activities, with hands-on learning, with opportunity to make clear to the learner the structure of the world independent of the learner. We continue to teach the subject that the learners don't find relevant to their lives. Let's say, a student who learns algebra may think it won't be useful in the life he or she wishes to live. Because algebra is part of the curriculum, it is our main job to let the learners be in this world of algebraic equations. But we don't ask them to construct their own world. They were not given the choice of what kind of world they can construct for themselves. Okay, here's an example of the same case in a grammar class. Pupils who are made to memorize the grammar rules, such as the present continuous tense is used for talking about developing and changing situations. They can't even say a full sentence in English, let alone memorize the rules. Now, English teachers, here are some facts to consider. Number one, it is impossible to memorize all hundreds of grammar rules anyway. And number two, when speaking English, you don't have time to think, what tense should I use? Let's see.
I want to present the idea of an action continuing up to the present time, so I should use the present perfect tense.
Well, we want our pupils to use English naturally. Memorizing the grammar rules may improve their scores in the test, but definitely not their English. Looking back at my own early education, I realized that it was just a matter of transferring knowledge in one's memory. A classmate who responds to the question of my teacher in the exact way she taught us earns the most praises and special treatment, which are the two easy steps to climbing the teacher's ladder of success. Here's a video clip of the movie 3 Idiots, where we can definitely find something we can relate to. Growing up in schools that emphasize on final answers, rather than the way students arrive at their answers, has influenced my definition of success. In a classroom where students are only allowed to speak after asking permission, usually by raising a hand and waiting to be addressed by the teacher, I was known for being talkative. Trust me, back then, the term is a match for being rude. I was the bad guy, and those who don't interact, question, or share opinion got 95% moral and right conduct and whatnot. Somehow, I thank rote memorization, for I am able to commit blocks of information to memory without having to understand or think of its meaning. If a woodchuck could chuck wood, how much wood would a woodchuck chuck? If a woodchuck could chuck wood, he would chuck he would, as much as he could if a woodchuck could chuck wood. Here's another one. A fisherman named Fred Fisher fished for fish from the edge of a fissure. A fish with a foolish grin pulled and pulled the fisherman in. Now the fisher folks are fishing the fisher for the fisherman named Fred Fisher. Seriously though, as a teacher, the one I had in the past enables me to address the same issues I have at present in completely different ways. For one, I involve my students to talk about the subject. After all, now that talking is my top priority, they seem quiet. I'm beginning to think that is rude. As John Dewey believed that education depended on action, so do I. Here are some of the opportunities where my students and I explore, experiment, experience learning like never before. Thank you for your attention. Enjoy.